Just a minute. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, we are ready. You can start the recording and then you can. Yeah, recording was ready.
Recording is done.
Go ahead,
yes.
Sir.
Okay. Welcome everybody to this next session of Guru Vari, the Thursday lecture series where we say let's learn from the Gurus. Today, I'm very happy to introduce Hiren Patel. He will be taking you through a field. He's done a lot of work, absolutely a lot of work. But out of that, what we've selected and asked him to talk about is housing. Correct? So Housing Studio guys, I hope you're on, and this is for you. It is also for all the other students in Navratna University, in SEDA, and here we are faculty always looking forward to these. Now a few words about Hiren. Correct. He's an architect, but what he's done is he's encompassed the whole role of architect, interior designer, and landscape designer. Because when he does housing, he wants to do the whole gamut, not parts of it. He's known for his innovative designs, and he considers harmony of man, nature, and materials to be prime. His philosophies are minimalism, exclusivity, and sustainability, which he considers the aesthetics of architecture. He's a graduate of CEPT with 30 years of experience, a classmate of mine. I'm very proud to say so. And he's also a vivid painter who does landscape-based, nature-based watercolors. We should also have an exhibition of that sometime. So welcome Hiren, welcome to School of Environmental Design and Architecture at Navratna University.
Thank you.
So now what we will do is we will request you to start with your presentation without wasting much time, because obviously the students don't want to hear my rubbish, they want to hear you.
Okay. No, thank you so much, Santanu, for your nice and kind words. Yes, in fact, Santanu has taught me all history of architecture, because I was from CN Vidyalaya college from the Gujarati medium, and when I joined CEPT for the first and second year, I actually had a struggle in understanding in terms of language problem. So Santanu was my translator, and he always used to convert whatever the history talk was given by Professor Kulbhushan Jain. He would translate me after the classes so nicely, and he would explain me everything into Gujarati, and that is how I could actually understood about the very difficult subject of history of architecture. But that's for that I am always thankful to Santanu, being a kind friend. And yes, good evening to everyone. This is not my conference room. In our office conference room, we have the muda, which is we generally have at the tea stall. I have those muda from last 30 years and still they are working. I had myself gone to the Pushkar to get them, and I had loaded them on the truck. And those muda we are still using at our office. Today I am in some doctor's conference room in somewhere in South India because I came to meet them. And they were so nice that they say I can use their conference room, which they use. So that's the backdrop of some of our clients' place. So I'm just logged in from their area because their facility is better over here in terms of connectivity. Yes, so we can start about the. I'm sure there are students who are more on housing, and if you see as an architect, majority of work comes to in profession is basically the housing. I mean, either you design somebody's private house or you do the mass housing. That's the major chunk of the work in terms of the quantum. That's what I realized in the practice of 30 years, because everybody wants to make a house. And what happened that, let's say if I make one office, in one office you can fit 50 people. But for those 50 people, you require 50 houses. So either they are apartment or they are individual house. So the quantum of the housing is, you can imagine that one office can cater 50 people. where those 50 people, you require 50 houses. So it's almost 50 times bigger than the working spaces kind of thing. And then, yes, I mean, primarily we have two spaces. The one is the working space and another is the residential space. And rest of the architecture is like a school or like a museum, like a theater. Those are the one which is you use in terms of less number of hours, but working space and the housing are the most one you spend your time. So I thought it will be a good idea to understand if you are working on housing, the basic thing you need to understand is what is a house. I mean, housing is a cluster of houses, but at the end, there are so many people who are living together in harmony, but as an individual, they require their own house. So I thought it will be a good idea to maybe, I thought I can share you the one of the projects. Santanu, we can start maybe with the presentation.
Yes, I just wanted to add,
Yeah.
if you are in, students, if you are in Ahmedabad, there's an ITC Narmada coming up there. Hiren is the architect. Besides that, he's done amazing work for the Adanis at Shantigram, at Mundra. He's done amazing hotels, garden restaurants. He's done really, really good work. It's great to visit his office and ask him that I want to see your work. Okay, use that opportunity. He's close by.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah.
And,
now I'll share the presentation.
Yeah. And while presentation, if somebody has asked has a question, they can simply ask. No, this is more like an interaction rather than having a one-way speech. I would also prefer while looking at the picture, if anybody has any kind of question that what material is this or whatever you think, just feel free, talking to
Correct.
the group of people who are curious about the designs. We are talking. So. It's very informal. You can ask any moment about any questions. Yeah.
Yeah, what we're doing is those of the faculty who are online will ask you directly. The others will actually forward the messages to Renuka,
right,
and she will ask them to you.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, our office is known as HPA. So we say that H is for happy, P for the positivity. So we are very happy whatever we kind of get the work to design. We are very positive about the kind of the work we do. We are very optimistic and positive to do something good. But at the same time, we as architects, we are very accountable. So whatever we do, it goes for generation. And we architect jobs are very serious jobs, so we are accountable whatever we do. So that's how we call HPA, happy, positive, but accountable. Next. Right. So this is a house which we design in Ahmedabad. Next one, please. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a house on the last end of the street, and it's around 330 square yards. So it's roughly a little less than maybe 300 square meter of the plot. And the client wanted, it's a family of husband, wife, and 2 kids, a daughter and son. And so like 300 square meter is a relatively small plot, is an individual house, and they wanted to build the house, and we thought how to make. And this is the time when the green concept was just getting into the market, and how to design sustainable architecture, green architecture. And the 2 years before this project, I had gone to USA, and I came to know about the green architecture and green certification. And then I gave exams there, and first I failed, and then I canceled my ticket, returned to India, because I thought if I don't give exams again, I'm not going to come back, because that time there were no exams happening at India. So I called my wife that I'm staying another 15 days more, because I failed in this green lead AP exam, and I asked them that what is the next, because I had planned for exam and I thought I will go straight to the airport back to India thinking I will pass. but I couldn't clear that exam. So they say you can appear after another week. So I thought, let me stay back, and I stay for another 10 days. I again study about the green architecture further, and I passed exam. And at that time I was one of the early AP lead architect. I think I was the 35th number lead architect of India at that time. So थोड़ा भूत भी सवार था that no, okay, let's design a green architecture and we should have a platinum kind of rating. And this client was ready for that because he really felt that he wanted to also, he was also equally sensitive. So we worked on this project with the completely lead process, but without application, because he said, I don't want to have the certificate and go in all these things, but yes, we will be very honest and we'll work as per the guidelines. And that is how we actually work for these projects. So yeah, so it's a very tight house with a 1 bedroom at ground floor and 2 bedroom at first floor, and they are into the music. So you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah. And we have the terrace garden where we have kind of gardening of terrace gardening, because as per lead points, you need to develop a terrace garden, and that's how you reduce the heat gain from the top, and that's how. So yeah, so you enter over here, and that's a little ramp to enter to the main room of the house. Yeah, next one. And that's a like little family room at the ground floor. And yeah, I mean, at our office, we love to do architecture, interior, and landscaping, everything together. I mean, I always say that that's how it's become like synchronized in terms of design. So here, like whatever small garden we had, we wanted to do that, and we had a tight garden. So we thought, how can we get the kind of little glimpses of garden on the interior? That's how we actually printed those curtains, roller curtains, and we got it especially printed for our client. And we wanted to have some kind of graphic of landscaping to that. So yeah, that's the family room. Next one. Yeah, and here you can actually visualize how tight the space is. It is hardly 3 meter width. You can, by looking at the sofas, you can realize it's around 10 feet of the width. So that's how from the ramp you enter to this thing, and you get the kind of L kind of space. So you have formal living on that side. On the right side was that family space, and from there you can see outside the garden. And on the left side is an open kitchen which has a sliding door. So if you want privacy, you can close that door. Next one, please. And this is like one room on the little lounge kind of room at the first floor, which is between 2 rooms. We have this one, and they are in the classical music. So this is like multi-purpose kind of room where the areas here, and once they open the slides, the sliding door, it's almost like a screen, and then again the screen also has a sliding, so you can open and close, because it is quite very tight plot with lots of houses next to you. To get the privacy, then we have this wooden screens to get the privacy. Next one. Yeah, so that's a formal room which is very tight, but yeah, next one. And we try to work with lots of artwork, and it's exposed concrete ceiling, so there are no false ceilings and kind of thing. So you do design right from beginning, every kind of thing. And this is like daughter's room. So we have kind of a morning light coming, so we create the kind of natural light, because we thought that because of the privacy, the window won't get really open, but she should still get the morning light feeling. And that's how we have the right on her headboard, we have the skylights, which gives you, it will wake up her right in the morning. Yeah, and if you see on the right side, we have the glass. So because the rooms are very tight, we use lots of glass between the room and the bathrooms, like frosted glass. So it doesn't look very tight, because otherwise the rooms are very tight. So we wanted to have that little kind of softness into the interior. That's how there are no walls between the bathrooms and bed, but we have the glass partitions. Next one, please. That's the second floor room for the son. And yeah, so that's like wardrobe space and kind of thing. And again, it has a floating roof, as you see in the first slide. So this room also has a lot of natural light coming in. Next. And this is the master bedroom at the first floor. So you can see that 4-person bed in that, and the left is a shower cubicle, which is a frosted glass. So it makes the room looks a little lighter, and at the same time you have privacy. And there are left and right side, we have tight wardrobes. So even such a small house, we have his and her dress area and the shower center and the shower cubicle in the center. And if you see in the niche behind, there's a beautiful artwork by the artist called Nabi Baksh Mansoori. So even as a small house, we actually work on lots of art collection and artwork for the house. I love working with the artists, so we generally try to put lots of artwork into the projects. Next one, please. That's a small veranda space at ground floor. So the house is basically exposed brick, concrete, and concrete work basically. And the ceiling is also exposed concretes. Yeah, next one. Yeah, so see what happened, the house remain, it's same, no? Like generally you have a husband, wife, and maybe you have your parents staying with you, and maybe you have 2 kids or maybe 3 kids or 1 kid, so that's a typical Indian family need. So if you think that for such kind of small individual family, what is the requirement? So the one house which we saw, even after 10 years, if you go now, one can feel this is a beautiful house and this is a way to live in. But you know, house and home desire can be as big as possible. So I wanted to actually expose to the specialist student that house means, I mean, from 300 square meter plot, even if you go to 30,000 square meter plot, it may look small for somebody, no? If you're, let's say, making a house for the king or somebody like that, he wants much bigger. So even the needs are same, the family size is same, how big the house can become. So this is the second house I would like to so compared to the first one, which was very compact, and this is a large, like a resort kind of the house. So this is almost 26,000 square yard plot on the riverfront of Tapi in Surat. And it's a spreaded house. And I remember the client came, and then the client said, he gave us a completely free hand to design whatever. No, he said, you are like, I have come to the doctor and I'm not the one who should guide what kind of house I want. So he said, this is a piece of land, and I have a family of 5. I have 3 children, and we husband and wife. So we are technically 5 people, and we require roughly 7-bedroom house because I have lots of guests coming. So very simple requirement. And when we saw the plot, I mean, it was beautiful. Then we actually dressed land in a way that you have a little view from the rooms, which are towards the riverside. And I remember that I was thinking what to do, and obviously it was big land. I thought sloping roof would be a right thing because we wanted to do something with a nice landscaping, because I know Surat is a wonderful land. So you can grow any kind of greenery, will work very well. So I remember the client said that, look, Mr. Hiren, I came from a very small village of Saurashtra, and I made my fortune. And I still love my small houses of my village, the Gujarati village houses. And they aren't there. So he questioned me that, aren't they beautiful? And I said, yes, sir, they are beautiful houses. Like all villages houses of Gujarat, they're in fact very beautiful. So he said, why can't we create like that? And that's how we thought that, okay, so we got this roof tiles made in Morbi, like a village house, because we didn't have. So obviously you start thinking of lots of references. So yes, we have lots of references like Jeffrey Bauer's work and kind of thing. And what we thought that let's make entire house like completely like scattered, like a different village houses. So every rooms are scattered, and you have to literally walk from one room to other room in open sky passages. And then what we thought that the village houses are like organic form, but here it's based on the grid. So even there are little organic way placement is there, but still there is a little geometry behind. So later on, if you want to add something, there is still kind of geometry. But then we thought that let's create the village house with a similar material palette kind of thing. So that's how we have the sloping roof with this concrete tiles, and rather than we have mud kind of brick wall in terms of color palette. No, initially I was thinking to make this entire house with the exposed concrete wall and sloping roof with the shingles. But then that was a completely new modern material palette, which we all architects love. Just try to imagine same building with the exposed concrete and this sloping shingles roof would look fantastic. But I still remember that our client says that our village houses are so beautiful. So we thought, let's create the similar kind of thing. Let's forget about the material palette which architects love, but let's try to work. And if they are beautiful, then it's something really good. So that's how we took little risk of changing the material palette. Even we had a freedom, because generally you don't get freedom with your client. Here we have completely kind of freedom. So we created that, and we thought, yes, we want to create like a village house. That's how we call like a village house. But we thought our villages doesn't have much of garden. So let's create houses with lots of greenery and garden. So that's how we designed. Next one, please. So most of the structure are like with this concrete tiles. But now what happened that as an architect, you always look around and you get inspired. So what happened that at that time we were doing some project in South India and in Kerala. And I saw there was a beautiful temple with a pyramid kind of roof, with the copper roof in fact. And so when we thought, let's create a kind of temple right in the garden, and we thought, let's create a different structure. So you can see that now the temple structure is a little different than the rest of the house, and we have the single roof, and we have kind of a formation which is like wider on the top and the lower at the ground level, something like very much like the temple structure of Kerala. So it's in fact inspired from that. This kind of structure, and so it's nice that you learn from something of your surrounding wherever you visit and try to apply with your own way of being. So that's how you see the temple structure a little different. Next one, please. And here again we did completely architecture, interior, and landscaping. So we, our clients, he loves entertaining people, and he really wanted to have a big dining table for the 30 people. So that's how we have a huge piece of the wood as a dining table. And then we wanted to hang something with the hanging lights. So what happened that we hire somebody, very good light manufactured from Delhi called Glow Light. They do excellent work. But every project will drain at the end of the project where the budget wise. No? So it was costing a huge amount for hanging lights, and we were back and forth we were happening, because the client was saying that why you want so much pricing for the hanging light, which goes in lakhs of rupees. So we came with one figure which is both clients and both were agreed upon. And then when the chandelier came, we realized that it will look too small. So we split them into two parts. So you can see the left and the extreme right. There are two chandeliers came from the glow light. And then once we did it, we realized that it was looking empty. And it was costing a huge amount of this. It costed 7 lakh for the left and 7 lakh rupees for the right. So now middle part, we wanted to add something, and the client were not ready because they said नहीं चलेगा इतना, ये तो बहुत ही खर्चा कर दिया हम लोगों ने, no? And then one day I got the call from the site engineer, and he said, sir, वो एक solution मिल गया है. And he sent me the pictures of something hanging in the middle. And he said, from where did you get this? So he said, sir, आपने सब decoration के लिए जो flower vase लिए थे, उसका shape almost same था. तो उसको हमने hold करके लटका दिया है उल्टा. So the centerpiece are, every piece, glass pieces are actually flower vase, which is costing only 200 rupees, versus the glow light, every one are costing around 15 to 20,000 rupees. So that's how, when you have some creative people in your team, it really works so well. So in this case, I remember when we were working with the engineers, initially they were saying, "Aapke drawings nahi mil rahe, aapke drawings mein mistake hai," you know. But slowly they fall in love with this entire project, and you can see at the end they almost like us. And I used to send them sketch, and they used to create, no. So that kind of teamwork also helps you to make project looks beautiful. Next one, please. Yeah, so that's like a family room, and you can see the campus structure outside and all garden all around. Yeah. Next one, please. Yeah, and this for this we love. I love the art and working with the artists and everything. So we have a beautiful art collection for this house, and it was very good that client really trusted because he had no idea about art. And like you can see the way, kind of the work we have selected, which he doesn't understand, but he completely had a trust on his architect, and he says, "Sir, go whatever the way you think." And no, many places we actually bought some really expensive art, and it was difficult. It would become really difficult to convince people. But here, in this case, he was really very kind in that way, and we had a freedom. So we really enjoyed it. Even artist people also enjoy working for this house. Next one, please. Yeah. So this is like a bathroom for the master bedroom, and if you can see the like courtyard, we have a nice courtyard, and the periphery wall we have this black painted bamboo. So what we do, we wanted to use bamboo, and we thought if we cut them, inside structure is very interesting. If you cut the bamboo in halfway, actually you see something completely different, which you generally don't see. So we cut the bamboo half and we placed like a cladding. And then because it was a black flooring, we painted it black. Next one, please. So again, we wanted to have a nice huge art piece as a sculpture in the middle of water feature. And such a big art will, if I will go to any artist, it will cost too much. So I thought, let me try by myself. So I just created something inspired from the South Indian Deepstam, where you put your light for in the temple and from the tree. So that's how we created, and we made a model, and we thought this will look fantastic. And we called our site engineer that we want to make it. So he said, "Sir, ye ban jayega." And then he said, "Kitne size ka banana hai?" So I really wanted to have them around 20 feet high, but I was working for such a big sculpture for a first time, so मेरे में भी इतनी courage नहीं थी कि भाई, because I am not a professional artist, so I mean making such a huge structure. So I wanted to make it around 20 feet, but I had no courage, So आप पहली बार काम करते तो हमेशा courage नहीं होती है. So after a practice of 30 years, I had no courage because as an artist, I am still learning. So I said, I remember precisely, 18 feet 9 inch ka kar dena, And after 2 days, I saw this WhatsApp image where they were cutting on the factory with 18 feet 9 inch. And I said, "Arey, usko 20 bola to bhi ho jata." But then they erected, and it looks very brilliant and beautiful as a piece of art. Next one, please. Yeah, and I mean, that's a nice the way the light, especially we all love lures. I mean, this is our favorite element of architecture and interior. So if you have lower window and if you have vertical kind of thing, you actually get the play of light and shadow. So that's what you see over here. Next one, please. Here you can see the ceiling, which is bamboo. Yeah. So here you can see the ceiling, which is bamboo, and it's again painted brown color with the matching with the polish. Next one. Yeah, thus you are looking from outside, and on the right hand side, it's the structure which you see, which is like inverted kind of roof. So I always say that's an ego of an architect where we wanted to make a statement. And what is the rest of the roof are very traditional, like a house, village houses, which looks very humble and nice. So it's not like a juxtaposition of egoistic architecture versus very humble architecture. Next one, please. Yeah, and what happens if you are working with such a big project, everything will not come in over the night, no? So slowly you gradually improve. So for us, we always think that it's working on like a canvas, like an artist. You keep on working and you try to look for the master strokes, and you keep on working and keep on improving your paintings. The similar way here is the same thing. So every time whenever we go to site, we have another idea. And when we made the structure of temple, I was talking to the engineer. I said, generally temples in the villages are on the river bank. So I said, why can't we create a river kind of planter? So we thought, let's create a planter which will give the blue flower. So it will become like it will represent the water. So we created we had a completely lawn was done. And we marked out at the site, and I said, let's create the river of the flower. And every site visit I used to go, and I used to come to this point because I'm not a trained landscape designer or architect. So I will go to the Mali, said, and I was waiting for this blue flower to come and blossom, no? And every time they were not coming, and I said, Mali को I was saying, भैया तो मेरे को दवाई तो नहीं पिला रहा है, रियल में वो flower आएंगे कि नहीं आएंगे, no? Finally, we started getting the blue flower, and it looks really beautiful. So you know what happened, that you constantly work and keep on improving in your design when you are working in the bigger scale of projects. So that will make you very, your office work become very hard because everything is finalized, and again you are coming with a new idea and you are adding up. And at the same time, you want to see that there are no losses and there are no breakage happen at site. So as a designer, you are constantly in a tension, but at the end, you feel very happy. Next one, please. Yeah, so that was a house, and then this is like project which is called Frangipani. Next one, please. So it's a real estate project. See, most of the time when we talk about the housing, what happened that it's a major housing in India is happening with the private developers, and they are the builders. So they are the people who wants to make money. So it's the profession to earn money, and especially when we started the practice, even it was worse. Nowadays there is a lot more kind of appreciation is happening for the good design, because now country is flourishing and people have a kind of courage to do something good and add the value of design. But when we started the practice some 25 years ago, it was always difficult, and especially for me doing the project for a real estate developer, because that's how we enter into the work, because the work comes to you, and whatever that comes, you to survive your own practice, you just pick that up. But what I said that I graduated from the School of Architecture, SEPT, Ahmedabad. I always say that the SEPT has taught me to become a very honest architect. So whatever kind of work came, when I was on the drafting board, I was very honest. I really wanted to have the end user to be happy. So when I'm working for the, let's say, builder or developer, when we are a design board, we always think of the who will come and who will use and how they will feel happy about that project. That we may not discuss with our client, and we may talk their language of, okay, itna areas ban raha hai, itna ye ho raha hai, and that's how. But at the back of the mind, there was always a wish of doing the best for the people who are going to live. And I precisely remember, because I was one of the very good student of School of Architecture, and we had luckily good faculties throughout the 5 years of college. And then I went to Switzerland and for exchange program, and I also went to work there. And then I came back, and when I came back, I got the work of a real estate project. And no, I was really scared to even say somebody कि मैं किसी का बिल्डर का काम कर रहा हूँ ना, लाइक डर लगता था कि किसी को बोले तो बोला, अरे तू यार बिल्डर का काम कैसे कर रहा है, नो. So it was like that. And that time, even when we were doing interior, no, people were looking here, तेरे पास कुछ काम नहीं इसलिए तू interior कर रहा है, no. So I remember I started my practice working with the real estate project, and I started my practice doing interior of some apartment. So both were the project which was, you can say very proudly to your colleague or your other people, and especially you are good at your education, people, even you feel more like down. So it was a really tough time fighting with this. I still remember a wonderful letter by Aniket Bhagwat. He saw one of my typical design of some 5, 7, 8 houses for one builder, and he wrote me such a long letter that what kind of nonsense here you are creating, no? So the people were really, I still say very thanks to Aniket Bhagwat that he was so critical, because when he wrote me, he didn't know me, but he somehow happened to know me. So he was really so sad, and he really feels pathetic that this is this guy, I know him, maybe he was very junior, and he did this thing. So he just wrote me one email, and I got so frightened. He said, what kind of the work you are doing? Come on, guys, you have to do something better. I mean, give up if you are not able to do, just don't do the work, but don't do such kind of rubbish kind of architecture. And I'm really thankful to him that at my early stage, somebody really criticized me such a way that make me awake, and it kept me always to have a fearful person, no? Even today, if I'm doing any real estate project, I have so much of fear that that somebody is looking at us and we have to justify in terms of everything, not in terms of, kind of, and architecture is beyond explanation, no? And you have to really think. So in the beginning of our career, it was really tough. Nowadays, at least people come to you and say, "Mujhe acha design karna hai." You make something beautiful, because now the builder also has a confidence on them. But at the time when we started, it was really difficult. So this project we were working, and then I thought we'll bring lots of garden into these things, and we thought we'll put lots of champa tree, because it's easy, because we are parking below. We thought champa tree is very easy to grow. So that's how, so I was very excited, and I told my client, they're my brothers also. So I told them that let's give name Frangipani. And then people used to say Firangi Pani, no? And they were connecting Firangi Pani is something like liquor, no? And we said, no, Frangipani is a champa. And I was really excited. And I have lots of mentor, no? So I was always in contact with a wonderful architect, a landscape architect from Bali called Made Vijaya. So I wrote to him and I said, sir, this I'm designing, and no. So he saw my design, and he sent me one email, no, again that, so I said, this project we are saying Frangipani, and he sent me one answer, one single line answer. He said, Hiren, this design looks beautiful, something like apartment project of Singapore, but why Frangipani? Why not Champa? So he says that why are you going English name, but why don't you call Champa? Is a beautiful name. And then I couldn't say, sir, चंपा तो हमारे domestic helper में बहुत सारी चंपा बाइयाँ होती है, तो the client will not really agree to become Champa as a project name. So that's why we have Frangipani name. But he says that why, and I still remember the Madhevija always said, hey, Indian architects, what has happened to you people? I mean, he said, when I have to look at architecture of India, why I have to go 500 years behind? I have to go to Taj Mahal, or I have to go to Madeira Sun's temple. You were so fantastic in your design. You were so good at everything. Workmanship in terms of design. What happened to you guys? Now, whenever I want to talk about something good of Indian architecture, I have to go back into the history. What has happened to you guys now? Come on, wake up. So no, I mean, these are like kind of mentor which keeps you alert whatever you have been doing. So that's how. So for example, this is a real estate project, but we wanted to have the artwork. So there's a kind of artwork. Yeah, next one, please. So I'm saying that in terms of reality, there are lots of struggle as an individual, as an architect, and fighting back with the reality of life. And that even after 30 years, I've been struggling. So that's a way of life. But if you have that drive to do good, whatever little you can improve upon, it is always there. That's how one has to work upon. So here, this project, we really brought that kind of nice walking and the traffic-free area at ground floor, and people love these places. Even today, in a red brick, this website, this project has a highest ranking in Ahmedabad. So you can imagine, if you design something nice, people love that. and it is almost I would say 8 years or 9 years old project. Still, it is maintained so well, and people love it, no? And especially when end users are very happy, you feel very nice because they say we bought this apartment for our liking of the plan, but what you gave at the ground floor is something fantastic because we never imagined, because at that time no builders were giving such kind of things, so we were not expecting, because वो एक बार drawing में दिखा दिया कुछ बनता नहीं था, but in here what you saw actually you brought something much better than that. So that's like a kind of credit people give it, you feel very happy and satisfied. Next one, please. Yeah, so that's a nice big water body, and kind of an yes, I also took my brother to Singapore that to show them that look at the kind of beautiful apartment project are happening in Singapore. Why can't you guys also try to do something like that? And they understood a little bit of it, and they believed it eventually. And then yeah, so it as an end result, it really came quite nice. Next one, please. Yeah, so that's the center, and this is like especially when you come in the evening, you see everybody's down and walking and talking, and no, it's a really community living. So that's where I mean I remember when I went in exchange program and I went to one remote area of in Denmark. There was wonderful community living was there for the artists, no. So all such kind of inspirations are there in your mind, and you want to bring that, no. So you feel very nice that you brought some kind of little magnet kind of spaces at ground floor, because especially for the apartment, this becomes very important because people live in the small area or big area, but they are confined in those areas. You require lots of open spaces to use them. And if you create the beautiful community space, this is even better, because I always tell my like high-end client, if they make big villa, they cannot have such a wonderful pool and swimming pool and tennis court and everything in their house, and if it's that, it's too expensive. Where here it is divided by 100 family, so actually you can bring a lot more luxury to your living because you are sharing this thing. So that way community living become even better and luxurious than the private high-end industrialist house. That's what I said, that if even you are not industrialist, you can enjoy much more facility than anybody who is very rich and he has his own big house. Next one, please. Yeah, so there are also fit outs area and kind of resort kind of feeling at ground floor. Yeah, next one, please. Yeah, and these are like nice walking areas. So we see the kids are bicycling and the people are walking in the evening, and it's quite nice. Yeah. And this on the left side you see is all the plantation on the slab area. So whatever the greenery you see here on the left side, below we have the parking. So that's how the erica and palms are kept, because no, their root system, they don't go too much inside. So that's how you can actually grow them well. So that's how we also have the few planted with the champa tree. No, so that's how you see the greenery. Next one, please. So again here, what you see is basically the old garden below, above the parking lot, because we have the garden completely parking below. Next one, please. Yeah, so there are little small pavilions where people can come down and see and not use it. So because especially when you have the let's say 100 family living, you have to create different kind of interesting spaces for different age group. So all people will like to see the people, so they will come and sit over here where there is a gym and there's a children's play area and there are small kids area. No, so that's how you can segregate them. So even let's say there are 100 people down, you don't feel like claustrophobia kind of space, but they are all separate out in a nice way. Next one, please. Yeah, so we have a nice swimming pool, and again we have this plantation of erica palms and everything. So you have completely kind of freedom from the surroundings, and then we have pavilion, above pavilion also we have little kind of terrace where people can come and sit. And I often go back to these spaces, because what I say, it is always good to go back to your site and check how people use that, no? And that's how you learn it. So many times I go in late evening and late night to see that how people are actually using. Was it the way you visualize while designing, or was it the way people are used different? So I see very nice that in the late evening there are few couples are sitting, or only 1-2 couples are sitting because they want privacy, and they have quite private space over here. And on the right hand side, I always say the brown color planter where we have frangipani, which is the most expensive planter I did because it was a huge structure, and clients were so good that they believe in us because it was only planting 4 frangipani tree to make that we have such a large kind of architecture structure which costs a lot, but they believe in us for that. And what happened that if we are not good at many things, it's always good to go and find your guru and not to be ashamed of learning from anyone. No, I mean, for gardening, I always learn from the garden and everything. And when we had this project, I was really worried because I had no idea how to plant above the parking. And then I called one architect who has done lots of work. अभी मेरे नाम याद नहीं आ रहा है. I'm just I mean it's right in my heart, but it's not coming out. So I called him and I said, sir, I'm an architect and I've seen your landscape, beautiful landscaping done in Mumbai, and I'm doing one project here. Can you help me out? And gentleman say, yes, Hiren. He say, so then every time whenever I had struggle, I would always used to call him. So he will fly back, he will spend 1 day, and I will convince my client to pay him 1 day charges. So he came and then he walked and he said, हिरेन देखिए अच्छा है यहाँ पे माइक्रो क्लाइमेट अच्छा बन रहा है, आप यहाँ पे रेन ट्री डाल दो, मैं गारंटी देता हूँ हो जाएगा. Now rain tree on a slab was, I mean, one cannot even imagine, but he said ये यहाँ पे हिरेन माउंट बना देना, I guarantee you कि ये होगा, but आप फाइकस का ट्री मत डालना, वो फाइकस होने नहीं वाला है. No, so there was so much of learning happened. So he used to walk and literally I was running behind him with a sketchbook. And when he is not there, if I come to this side, I walk like a architect, and people give you so much respect. Where that the scene was completely different. He's walking, I'm running like a student behind him. But I was not ashamed because that was the best time I was learning from some mentor. And he advised me that यहाँ पे ये plant करना, यहाँ पे ये plant करना, it should work. And that's how it works. So when you get struggling, you will definitely find somebody who's good. He will come and help you. So don't be afraid or ashamed that if you don't know, be frank and try to get learning from people, and that's what I do. And nowadays I also advise people, there are so many online classes are there to learn. No, I keep on working and doing lots of online classes of landscaping designing for learning because I don't have formal landscaping. That's why I always feel a little guilty and I always feel worried that what I am doing is right or wrong. So whenever I get a chance, even at this age, I always go for 1 month of online learning, and I learn from the big mentor. No, so I mean that's how you keep updating yourself. Unfortunately, in our profession, it is not like medicine. In doctor, you in US in doctor, every 5 years you have to give the exams because you have to update yourself. Architecture में वो तो होता ही नहीं है. So that's why you have to do self-learning, and you have to learn from the such kind of thing which will make you update, and you will make you also realize that कभी life में कितना कुछ सीखने का बाकी है. Next one, please. Yeah, so that's how the whole things is. We have the basement parking and the periphery parking, but central part is completely like a traffic-free area basically. So that's how people still love that, and people still maintain it so well. So now the old plantation has really gone really high. Now only my worry that small rain tree which we planted has really become huge, but only the ground covering and holding is only 4 feet. No, so we always get worried when there's a little kind of heavy wind or cyclone is happening. There's a huge fear that it may fall down. So otherwise it is a very happy tree and enjoying and giving wonderful shade to this area. Next one, please. Yeah. So thank you so much. I mean, my idea was to just share about small house, big house, and the housing to the students.
Yes, Hiren. Thank you for your presentation. The students, I think, were expecting a little more on the mass housing because that's what they're designing this semester.
Right. Okay.
Anyway, so the questions are coming to you in line with those thoughts. Okay,
Right.
what they're asking is, okay, like you have a freedom of material in a single family house.
Right.
What happens when you do a multi-family house or a large, like how much is the freedom? What do you do?
Yeah. See, especially when you are doing on a multi-housing, what I realizing, the housing become like a math. So if you are good at math, it works wonderfully because people will sit. I mean, I remember like now people just sit when you are designing. They sit with calculator. So it's a completely it's a mathematics. It's a engineering. It's an art with the mathematics. No, because every square inch they calculate and it's a mass thing. It goes in the kind of amount they are conscious about it. No, so basically when especially you are doing mass housing either for some industry or for the private builder or for the government, actually they are very conscious in terms of total construction cost. So that's become very, so what are the material paid you say or something, you have to understanding their both sides that if you do this material, what cost it will happen and whether it will become viable for them or not. So that's how. But so what happens that if you are doing in common areas, they are happy because they want to really make something beautiful. But where the repetitive things are happening, so let's say every apartment, yes, they are very conscious. So if I say, okay, here in every apartment I want to, let's say I love the exposed concrete walls, and if I want to make exposed concrete walls in every drawing room of every house, they may say no because it may take more time for them to build that thing, number one. And number two is it may become expensive. But I say every floor at ground floor, I will have completely exposed concrete. They will agree because that they want to impress people. So that's how there's a little different kind of mechanism happen. But again, I say that one should not really fall into the material. I mean, you try to create a spaces which is beautiful. Then even it's a plaster or it's any kind of material, it should look good. So that's what my belief is about that you kind of create the facility and spaces in a way rather than falling into the material palette. But yes, it's like mess and mess. I mean, for example, we are designing some apartment project for somebody, which we wanted to make 30. Now in Ahmedabad you can go for 50-story high. So we thought if we have less ground coverage and if you go less 30-story high, I was able to save from 5 towers, we were able to make 3 towers, and we thought we will have fantastic ground areas with the double height volumes, and we create something wonderful. Everybody loved that idea, but then we realized it will take another 2 years to build compared to 14-story. This time will become double. So if they are building 14-story building, which will finish in 2.5 years, here it will become for 4.5 years or 5 years. So they said nobody will book because in India, in Ahmedabad, people don't have mindset that, okay, I am booking my apartment and I will get the possession after 5 years. So only with that logic, we have to drop that fantastic idea because of this practicality. They said, no, nobody is going to wait for 5 years of, even if you can create the masterpiece of architecture, who is going to come? Because people are not ready to pay you for your apartment right in advance and you get them possession of 5 years, which is then if you go to Singapore, if you ask them, they say after 7 years, you will get the possession. So that is there. Maybe it might be there in Mumbai, but in Ahmedabad, it was not there. So we came back again to 14-story, and then we realized, okay, 14-story, we have less ground coverage, so we finally went to 20 to 21-story. But our wish was to go 36-story, where everybody was agree, but we talked with contractor and we say how fast we can do, how many cycles of the floor we can do in every 7 days or something like that. We thought, no, we will not be able to fulfill that speed and we have to come back. So these are like absolutely new kind of challenges happens apart from your design thing. So I say your client will ask for all these things. And as a designer, you have to think for your end users, no? So that's what, I mean, I always say that, that's why I say we are accountable because it's so many people will live for so many years, no? So you have to think for them first rather than your client who is the builder, who is making with equal question like you, Paresh, but still he is looking for the kind of business aspect, where as an architect you have been trained such a way, so you have to really think of end users and you have to do as best as possible.
Pratyush had a question. Pratyush, go ahead.
Thanks, Hiren, first of all, for this very insightful presentation. I quite like the fact that there's so many stories that you're telling. You're not just talking about design, but stories of your, conversations with clients and with contractors, with labor. And I think those stories are what makes our practice very unique. So thanks for showing. I mean, we can all look at your projects in magazines and website, but thanks for those stories. I had a much more a question that you did touch upon this whole thing about getting into commercial practice or commercial architecture way back in the 90s. And I remember because that was also the time I started teaching in the mid of 90s at CEP. And I think it was a complex times in the sense that and I do understand, that architects who were into commercial practice were looked down upon. There was this very strong bias within the campus. And at the same time, there were 2 or 3 things that the commercial practice in Ahmedabad was very uninspiring. We would call it the dark ages of Ahmedabad. Late 80s and early 90s. There was nothing to, so they were not setting up great examples. So when we had students pursuing commercial, it was always like, no, take care, be very careful, etc., etc. And the best housing that we had seen was way back in the 70s of the Shyamal Row house, of let's say Hasmukh Bai's housing. That era had gone of the social housing kind of or cooperative housing. And I was just wondering, because you had to negotiate at one level with the pressures of commerce and real estate and running a practice. And I am seeing this, and it's very nice that you were always shit scared or worried about what your profs will feel about you. And I think, and I'm very glad you said that, because not everyone says it. You said it in a very honest fashion. Because, and I'm talking like an academic. Because we also don't want our students to be paralyzed when they see the real world. We don't want them to become so conscious of what the university will think, but at the same time, we don't want them to compromise. And I was just wondering if there is a piece of advice that you would like to, because universities have to hold on to higher ideals, have to talk about larger societal goods, larger city, larger nation building. And yet real estate or private sector is a reality more so now than in the 90s we have to accept. What is your advice in a few sentences you would give to young graduating students? How to negotiate between these 2 worlds, which seems poles apart, but actually they are the same.
Okay, very nice. Rightly you say that, and I very well remember. No, it's a long journey. So first I will say, don't give up your real architect within you. I mean, whatever the things happen in realities, keep your architect student or architect alive in yourself. I very well remember, when I came back from Switzerland, I was doing one massive project. Massive project means it was like some 22 high-rise tower of 10 story. That time 10 story were like high-rise building right near to the Sangath, where Doshi Sir's office is there. And
Indraprastha.
Yeah, that's the first project, right? And it was such a long linear project. And as a kind of design, I say the corner of the road will come and we create kind of round office building. And we'll have rest of the thing, the kind of apartment project, which they all agreed upon. And yes, we were working. And I remember when you begin your practice, especially you have lots of mentors, no? So that round building, we had lots of influence of mimicking of Mario Botta's architecture. So it was a round tower with those, but I made a fantastic drawing, no? And the similar way, the apartment had wonderful elevation with very much influence of Mario Botta. And my clients that didn't agree. No, they were even very dear to me. They didn't agree because of not feasibility of those things. So they agree with the round tower, but rest of things was not able to happening with them. And I remember I told them the central area has to be traffic free. The project which I saw, this last project of Frangipani, the same idea was there in my first project. It took me less than 15 years of my practice to make them convinced to establish myself as an architect. And I brought, and when we did that thing, I said, some 15 years ago, I was telling for your project that which you didn't realize or you didn't trust in me, And for what? Because the side margin, you wanted to make a little extra money. Does it make sense today? They say, yeah, it doesn't make. So they say, oh my God, we couldn't understand. So that's where the real life is there. But what happened that in that kind of a tight situation of this, I was wherever I get the chances, I would not give up any compromise. For example, I did the graphic of that elevation absolutely like the SEP student or NUV-SEDA students, a beautiful one, because people were making very fancy kind of thing. It was absolutely like architect's drawing. And that's how we put on the brochures. And then I remember, because I was back from the Switzerland, I wanted to have a little backdrop of the background. And I had lots of slides. So I went to the Archer, because Anil Relia is now friend and client. He was printing brochure. They like it and they said, okay, this is the river of Zurich, the lake of Zurich, we can give us a background. And so we were okay because of the background. I still remember Mickey Desai fired me like anything. He said, Hiren, you are selling the dream, which is false. So I remember I was so scared. He says, I said, sir, मेरे तो दिमाग में ये चीज था ही नहीं. It was wonderful photograph. We put as a background. He said, no, there's a false information you are giving. So those things make me so aware of those things. So see, wherever I get the chance, I remember when we had to make the sample house, nobody will put the art. So I used to go to the artist and I say, भैया आपका original painting मेरे को दो, एक साल में रखूंगा, frame करके आपको वापस लूंगा. So that I'm still wondering who made me to do like that, no? So wherever I got the freedom, I try to educate my client. Okay, look, you have to put the real artwork. That's how you can create the interior space looks beautiful. There was no budget of art or anything. I would myself go to the artist, request them, and bring the original work. And I promise that this will stay in some sample house for something. We will frame, and that cost will be bear by my client. And at the end of the 2 years, I will give you back. So that's where, I mean, wherever small chances I would get, I will not give up my idea. And I remember that when we were building, the same time Doshi sir was building a Bharat Diamond Burj, no? So I remember I was sitting, I went in one night and I was sitting in the sand pit was there side, and I was sitting and I was wondering if 700 family will come, what will happen? Because no, I was also curious and wondering that so many tower we are building it, and people will be happy over there. So in the one night I was sitting over there, and next I went to the Doshi sir's Bharat Diamond, and I saw the pictures, and I could compare the Indraprastha residential towers and the space in between were almost same in the Bharat Diamond. So I said, my God, if master is also working with the volume, so I next 3 days I booked my train and I went straight to site, because they were at foundation level. I thought I have to look this project at foundation level. I have to look this project at the raw structure, and I have to look this project at the finishing. Because the volumes were similar. Now Genius is also working with the same volume where I am working. If he creates, then he's a really genius. So because he's having a struggle in Mumbai, I am having a struggle in Ahmedabad. So that's how. So if I cannot do something like that, means I don't know how to do the thing. The challenges are there. So it was always good to know, like really compare and all these things. So that's how it came in. I feel very nice that even whatever we did, people who lives at Indraprastha, they feel very happy. I'm really surprised, because I go back and check. Somehow they like ventilation of the space, light and air. So that matters. So as an architect, I feel it is not such a wonderful project, but at the end, people are still happy. No, so that's what happened. I remember that once I went to Charles Korea and I saw my sketchbook, And he marked out, he said, this is the best sketch I like in a sketchbook. And he said, what is, I said, this is after one high-rise tower I'm going to design for somebody, no? So then you get somewhere little hopes and kind of thing up. You think what you are doing commercially not good, but even some masters say, no, this is good, keep on doing, but try to do the best, no? So that's what was always actually happening. So my advice to the people that you will come with such a struggle, don't give up your originality. Stick to that. It may take, for me, it took maybe 20 years, maybe for you take 5 years, but do. Now is a good time. So you will not have the struggle like us now. Now people come to us, they say, I want to make fantastic apartment scheme. That's how people come. So now this time has changed, no? We see the beautiful project by lots of Singaporean architects or American architects, they're building in Ahmedabad right in front of us. So there are lots of learning now there. So that's how, yes, now time is much better for the student compared to what we had.
Hiren, yeah, Hiren, another question from students, which is a very, very valid question, that when you do mass housing, right, it's a faceless client.
Yes.
And everybody has their own interpretation of what they expect out of the house.
Right.
And we end up with pretty rigid layouts for efficiency, for square footage, for whatever we do.
Right, right.
How do you build in flexibility to meet those expectations?
Yeah, so very rightly say that. So whenever we design, we always, I keep the end user in the mind. So no, that's where, and then what happened that we do lots of little analysis within office, no? So we try to charge our batteries with lots of ideas, no? So like sometimes we say, let's do little homework or little workshop within office, and we go to everybody, to peon, and we say, what is your dream for the house? And what we say, what is your dream for house, to our researchers, and we actually list them down. And then we realize, oh, for them, the morning light is very important, or there's a swing into the house is important. And that's how we try to create within whatever the format. And we realize that there are going to be lots of interchange in terms of requirement. So yes, we try to see that how flexibility can come. So definitely we try to incorporate that. We don't make a plan, but we realize that we try to design in such a way that if somebody knocked down the one wall to here, they have a little flexibility. So yeah, but at our most of the, let's say, 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom, people are still surviving with the economical aspects. So even you think they don't break, they end up living with that compromise kind of thing. Whatever space is there, very few people will actually break and hire another interior designers to redo the things. So that is, we are still in developing mode. But yes, eventually it will happen that, no, it may happen that you only give the exterior envelope, and interior envelope, you have some options for people to build by themselves. So I think the flexibility is very important. And most of the concrete column and beam structure, you are able to get actually flexibility in terms of design. Yeah.
Another interesting question they've come up with, that we all talk about sustainability, and you believe in it. You seriously believe in it. You are a lead AP. Now, when you work with housing in Gujarat, what are the points that you actually manage to do easily for your housing design, and which is even convincing to your client?
No, can you repeat again, please?
Yeah, what I'm saying is you work a lot on sustainability.
Right.
Now, in mass housing, everything is cost-based, cost-controlled by your client.
Right.
Now, obviously, in your practice, you would have identified that these are simple things I can make my client do.
Right.
Like low-hanging fruits, we identify and say, "Ye to karwa hi lunga."
Right.
What are those?
Yeah, I mean, see, in terms of sustainable way of living, we Indians are still best. I mean, if you see this my cabin, this is not sustainable. I don't need so many lights, but they're still on, and I don't know where to switch off something. So we are like that. But so when the developer would design, he would design like that. But when the end users come, we are still like very Indian way of approach. And if we have 10 lights in parking, eventually members of the committee will decide and they will switch on only 2 lights. So that's the best way, and we should not be ashamed of that. No, I mean, people say that, but I always feel very happy that the committee decide that only 2 ही light चालू रखेंगे, बाकी की नहीं रखेंगे. No, So that's the one kind of conservative approach we all Indian have. I mean, we all feel, you know, from one room to another room, we'll go with switch off or even fan and light. Even nowadays, like LED lights are so economical in terms of burning space, we people don't keep on, no? So that's the one is there. In terms of design approach, especially working with the private developers, initially there was lots of movement about going for a green certification, which has somehow reduced upon it. But overall, they agreed upon a sustainable way of designing, which like now they are ready for coming up with the solar panels and like that. So kind of, I would say that's not exactly even, but if you talk, they listen to you. That's the plus point. I understand that anything, if you try to, in today's time, I realize that anything sensible of a sustainable way of design or any kind of sensitivity in terms of design, nowadays client listen to you. That's a big plus point. Yeah. How you achieve the different thing again, because they come back with that math and you may fail, but they understand and they're a little alert. But then maybe it is not working in terms of cost. They drop the idea, but they still keep that thing in mind. Okay, we wanted to do this, but because of our cost part, we are not able to do. So that's a very good sign that if they are not doing today, next project they might do with that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Another part we're talking about is, right now you showed a project where the common amenities were becoming the attraction for your project.
True.
Correct. Now, yeah, how much do we manage to negotiate to increase the public component? Correct. How do they, yeah, at what point do they balance the cost and say, okay, isse zyada nahi?
Right.
And how do you negotiate, okay, I want this at least?
Yeah, I remember, now the public housing, especially apartment project, yes, people want a lifestyle and people want all the facility. So yes, your client would definitely agree upon, but yes, they will put the cost criteria for their mind. So what I realized that adding more facility is a good idea rather than spending too much on that thing. They will come, I want foyer like a 5-star. And I say, 5-star wala foyer nahi banate, let's make a reasonable foyer, but let me carve out one space where I can make a social kitchen, where the people from the top can come down in the weekends, they can make the cooking together, and there's a joy of cooking together. So it would vary from architects to architects, but in our case, we try to give lots of facilities in terms of this kind of different activities rather than spending on the look and feel. So many times my clients say garib manas nu interior to na karis design, no. So I always have that still fight, no. They say, yeah, Hiren asking too much of doing other things, but we are making very simple thing where there is not much of glamour in the foyer and everything. So that's where it keeps on, but I think they listen and eventually come back. But you have to constantly keep on working. And what happens that you design in your brochure is there, when reality it comes, again it gets changed, and it's especially the common facility happen in the last moment of the project where they are actually drained with their budget. So they compromise a lot of what you have actually thought in the beginning. So that time you don't have to give up, and if they want to change, you be open to that and still work and try to bring the thing. So that's what I feel that most of the project at the end, so because of the market is not well, or they're not able to sell their scheme well, again they want to compromise a lot. I mean, if you are saying this material, they want to change and save the things, kind of thing. But yes, I would still say that giving a lot more facility is a common, and especially for me also, landscaping is very important. That my client says that every time you comes up and then you end up getting us to spend in lakhs of rupees. I give one quick example that we are doing one project near this ITC hotel, and we said that we will make the swimming pool at the top. And this is the first swimming pool was approved by corporation in Ahmedabad. So the only idea came, I said, every time we do the swimming pool at ground floor, and no ladies do swimming pool because they want privacy, and who which lady will swim in the front of everybody can look down to, you see. So that's how we came with the idea of the top floor, and they all agree. And when we say we have fantastic view, even they all get excited, and we have the clubhouse on the top floor with the swimming pool. Now what happened that one side visit I went and I say, "Arey, we have the swimming pool, but ladies so hamesha 3 baje, she will get free around 3 o'clock, and again 6 o'clock she has to go back to her work or domestic work. She get only 3 to 5 2 hours for things. That time there will be lots of sun will be there. Which lady would like to swim in open where her skin will become dark?" So we added a canopy. So they agree, and they say, "Okay, this costs us now another 20 lakhs rupees extra." They agree. Then one day I again went to the site and I said, "Come on, we have wonderful canopy, we have wonderful swimming pool, but who is going to swim in the winter? Why can't we have heated pump?" So they agreed upon, and they say every time you come, you end up us to spend 15-20 lakhs rupees. But that's how you don't give up, and slowly kind of manage. And somewhere you succeed, somewhere you don't succeed. But that's how it is.
A lovely example. Now, one more question that with this COVID pandemic,
Right.
has any of the requirements or marketability points changed in terms of housing?
Right. I think everybody asks for work from home. That's why the space from home. And I completely don't agree with them. So I say no residents require work from home, extra room for that. I say, come on, in the daytime, you are working from home, you have 4 bedroom or you have 3 bedroom, and those bedroom you use only in the night. But technically you have 3 extra spaces available. You can select any of your bedroom and use for the work from home. So that's the new requirement as a kind of flavor or the kind of glamour that we have one space for work from home office kind of space. But I don't agree on that part, and I say, well, one can actually work from the bedroom. Nothing wrong in that, and that's the beauty. And especially in Indian, we are very adaptive. No, if we are working from bedroom, and our kids is talking and jumping around, it's okay. People are okay in our kind of environment. So that's the beauty of Indian way of working. So that's the demand for work from home. So we started giving little more common facility where people can go down and maybe there are kind of a little working space. Maybe somebody wants to go and work from home, they can use those space. That's the new area we are adding in terms of design. And second, we are designing very consciously. We are doing this social kitchen. That people now, there are lots of people have come back with everybody has become safe. People started coming back to cooking. So we are trying to give lots of social kitchen in the common facility where people can develop their hobbies of cooking.
Good. Thank you, Hiren.
Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah.
And the time that you made, I mean, you're on site. We know you just finished your site meeting and then you still made time for a lecture. Thank you for the same. I think the students have learned a lot, especially with the questions I believe they were following you. So thank you once again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right. So
Thanks, Hiren.
Yeah,
wonderful.
Thanks, Pratyush. We'll meet again. It's a long time, but definitely we are going to meet.
Yeah, we must. And we'll get you here now. We'll meet in Baroda now first.
Sure. And thank you all the faculty members. Thank you so much.
right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Shall I close this?